Hello and welcome to Case Study Corner, Eirmersive's video series where we spotlight one real-world immersive technology project in about 15 minutes. We're focusing on what was built, why it mattered, and what organisations can learn if they're exploring VR and AR and MR. I'm Camille Donegan, CEO and co-founder of Eirmersive, and today I'm delighted to be joined by our member Janet Beck from GLASSEYE in Kilkenny. And today we're going to dive into GLASSEYE's work, which was commissioned by Outernet in London, the most visited cultural attraction in the UK with the most advanced screens in the world. Janet, thank you so much for joining us, and let's jump straight in. So I'd love you to introduce yourself, your role at GLASSEYE and the team that you lead.
Yeah, thanks a million, Camille. So thanks for the lovely introduction. I'm Janet Beck, CEO of GLASSEYE. So GLASSEYE is a creative and technology production company, and we specialise in the production of immersive experiences at large scale, architectural scale. And I suppose we use real-time and cinematic technologies to turn these spaces into story-driven environments. We do this across many sectors, from culture and entertainment, enterprise, and across public spaces.
Brilliant. And so, you've described some of the work, but what type of work is GLASSEYE best known for solving, and where does large-scale immersive fit within this?
Yeah, so I suppose we've been in business for about 24 years. We set up as a traditional production company, but we've continued to evolve and grow over that time, and we've always been interested in new technologies and how they can create, interesting ways of communication for our clients and engage audience, I suppose, in new and exciting ways. And this has led us to immersive technology and building experiences that in spatial environments that really connect with audiences, and whether that's for marketing purposes, for communication purposes, for entertainment, essentially it's all about storytelling and building good narrative, and that's at the core of everything we do, whether it's in a spatial environment or in a traditional linear screen. Storytelling is really key.
And speaking of stories, Janet, tell us about the Intelligence Garden. How did it come about, and the relationship with Outernet in London?
Yeah, so we launched a new experience in Outernet in London in February this year. We've worked with Outernet since 2023, where we created the Summer Palace initially for them, which was for their launch. It was I'll just explain the scale and to explain what Outernet is, to give it context. So Outernet is a district in the top of Tottenham Court Road in London. It's a free open space. It's 23,000 square feet LED space called the Now Building, 4 stories high and 16K resolution. So the wraparound walls and ceiling. So it's a massive space, and what's really cool about it, it's completely open and free to the public, and it gets very large visitors because it's free to the public, and it opens up I suppose digital and immersive content to a whole new audience.
Yeah, and I was very lucky to be there recently and see it in person, and it was so wonderful that it is so accessible. And you had some people lying down on the benches looking up at the experience, and I guess forgetting the entranceways, which is at the lower level. And so in terms of the design of pieces that you've produced for Outernet and the Intelligence Garden in particular, but you also mentioned the Summer Palace, what is the work looking for audiences to feel and maybe question or reflect on in their own lives?
Yeah, I think if you were to take the Intelligence Garden, so creatively it's based on intelligence and human intelligence and where it has evolved from. It asks the broad question, where does intelligence come from? Where is it now, and where is it going? And I suppose we've created this really narrative-driven story, but to ask that broad question. But essentially it's a beautiful piece of work, a piece of art that you can experience just for its beauty and its awe, or follow the narrative and ask the question. So it explores biological systems, human systems, and digital systems, and ask that question, okay, where is intelligence going in this era of AI, and where has it come from?
Really interesting. And the image behind you, describe what we're seeing, and that's an image from the piece, right?
Yeah, so as I said, it's based on a garden. It does three key scenes within the experience. It starts in a dark, sort of cold, unlit cave, and then it opens up. The rocks fall away from the ceiling, and the light and the moon of the light lights up the space. So when we're designing for a space of this scale, we really need to think of, I suppose, where the viewer is placed. They're at the center of the experience. It's very different from creating a linear type of viewing experience. So you have to guide the audience. So as I said, it starts in a cave. Then when the ceiling opens, everybody looks up. So you're guiding the audience where to look. And the audio is equally important. So lightning happens over here, and they look over here, and then you guide them back. So as the moon lights up the environment, it evolves into a garden. Cells appear, vines grow across the screens, and then we get them to look up again, and we bring them on a spectacular journey through those different systems that I mentioned earlier. And it goes through a garden, and then into architecture, and then into digital systems and quantum computing. So it's a visual feast for the eyes as well.
I can I can say that that's true for sure. And was there constraints? Like, I assume when you're designing for a space like this, there's constraints, and you've talked about some of the storytelling challenges and guiding the users, but was there other constraints or challenges within the project?
Yeah, absolutely. So like the screens are 16K, but we use Unreal Engine and Display to design the experience, but still you're dealing with really large files. So it's very complex. It's very time consuming, and even the actual artwork in itself, it's really, really intricate. So an awful lot of hours go into it. So that's a key challenge. But like we've an amazing team, and the experience is led by our amazing creative director, Agustin Vidal Saavedra. So it's his vision, and he directs the team. So our team of developers, technologists, designers have brought it all together, and you know, all credit goes to them to create such an amazing piece that we're all so proud of. And it's got amazing reaction from the public, the audiences that see it, and from press. So it's been a really successful piece for us.
And that brings us to the feedback and the reaction piece. So we'd love to hear more about um, feedback, reactions, impact that you're able to share with us, any metrics you might have, and also to talk about how the work has elevated GlassEye's reach.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose we this piece is as a result of the success of our first piece, as I mentioned earlier, which was the Summer Palace, and that was voted #1 attraction in the UK at the year of its launch, which was amazing. And um, the reaction to the Intelligence Garden has been just as good. It's only just launched in February, but already the numbers are out shining what the Summer Palace has created. So press release has been amazing, audience reaction, and when every time we go over and see it ourselves, we look at it, but what we look at is the audience and the audience reaction. And there's key moments in it where everybody just takes a breath and goes, oh. So
Yeah.
we've designed it in such a way that those key moments are super important. And what's really important to us is that they work. So we watch the audience and how they interact with it, how they move with it, and how they feel it. And I suppose from a commercial point of view, it's such an amazing space, and it gets such large numbers. I think there's 85,000 visitors in that building every week because it's open, and it's because it's in such a high footfall area. So that has been amazing to um, as a brand recognition for us. And we have got commercial work all over the world as a result of that, which has been phenomenal. Like currently we're working with a big retailer in Central America to create a 360 space for them. And that should launch in the next few months, which hopefully I'll be able to share with you then.
That is fantastic news, and what a lovely byproduct to working with Outernet that you have that international scale and reach as a company from Kilkenny. Any surprises or anything GLASSEYE might do differently next time?
Um, Yeah, we learn so much every time we work in this space, and I suppose technology is evolving so much. It's bringing in this new tools, this new ways of working. Like one one tool that we discovered on this particular project was Speed Tree. We were having a big challenge of how to make the vines grow across a 360 space and grow organically, that they didn't look really awkward. And we discovered this tool called Speed Tree, and it worked perfectly. It was working great, and we were testing it. And then suddenly it disappeared. We couldn't get access to it. And we're going, what's all? The site is down. And but it was down for days. So we couldn't understand what was going on. So anyway, we eventually got in touch with somebody, and it was in the middle of an acquisition by Unity. Um, and once we explained what we were trying to do, and we were up against it time-wise at that particular time, we had a deadline, and they gave us access to the tool, even though it wasn't available, and they were incredibly helpful. So that was really good. And I'm probably gone off question there now, and I forget the question,
No,
Camille.
no, that's wonderful. And yeah, I think that was a really interesting challenge, and I can definitely relate to that. Like, you might think that these platforms and solution providers are inaccessible, but actually in this nascent industry, I've found something similar myself. I had to contact ShapesXR with a particular requirement for an artistic project, and they were so helpful. So you can actually like get in touch with these developer teams, and the generosity can be astounding. So tell us a bit more about how viewers can experience this work, or indeed other GLASSEYE projects.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a VR version of the Intelligence Garden, both on the Apple Vision Pro and on the Quest. So they can view it that way. It's not, I don't think it's actually released yet, because we're bringing it to Cannes in a few weeks. So
Mm.
after that, it'll be available on both of those platforms. So you can view it there. But it's no comparison to actually going and seeing it in the space itself. The space itself, the Now building, is an incredible experience. And I suppose every time you go there, you experience something different. Or I suppose even when you go there, you experience lots of different pieces, because it's a short form, like 5-10 minute pieces. So you can dwell and stay there for hours, and lots of people do. Um, so yeah, get down to Outernet and go and see it.
Completely agree. And you can certainly stay there for hours, because there's a little coffee station and snack bar there as well. And yeah, I was there for at least an hour and a half, because there's lots of stories, although I have to admit that GLASSEYE was the star of the show with their two wonderful pieces. It was so proud to be there and
Too
see
kind.
how the response to GLASSEYE's work in particular. So if you wouldn't mind sharing some final words of wisdom, maybe for organizations that are exploring immersive, we'd like you to advise one thing to prioritize, one pitfall to avoid, and one quick win.
Okay, I suppose one thing to prioritize is, you know, the technology. It's so exciting to work with all of these new technology, but I suppose technology should always be at the service of the story. The story is key. Um, always ask yourself, what is the purpose? Why are you doing this? And what is the story, and what problem are you trying to solve? The most powerful immersive experiences aren't about spectacle. They're about the story and the purpose, and there to do that. A pitfall, I suppose, would be, I've probably mentioned it already, is like, you're not designing in a traditional way. You're not designing in traditional composition and format. You have to think about that spatial experience, and how people move, look, and feel in that space, and bring in multi-sensory aspects to the piece if you can. And what was the last one? Sorry.
A quick win.
Oh, a quick win. Yeah. So I suppose I've talked. This case study is a really large scale piece. So, but if you're just starting with immersive, don't be afraid of, start small. You can create really impactful, powerful, immersive work on smaller budgets and on a smaller scale. So give it a go. It's incredibly powerful, and it's really good at, I suppose, taking complex ideas and transforming them into really engaging pieces that connect with audience in really exciting ways.
Well done, Janet. I'm so delighted to hear that it's also brought you GLASSEYE to international reach through the fantastic work at Outernet in London. Thanks for walking us through the story of the Intelligence Garden, how it came about, and how it's putting not only GLASSEYE but indeed Irish best-in-class immersive projects on the map. So on behalf of the ecosystem in Ireland and all the makers here, thank you for such great work. And also how you shared the outcomes and traction of the work. So it's great that you have some metrics in terms of the engagement and wow, what visitor numbers they're getting at Outernet. So what a fantastic joint advertisement for GLASSEYE and others. We're going to drop links so that viewers can explore the project further in the links below. And to everybody watching, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow Eirmersive for future case study corner sessions where we continue spotlighting how XR or immersive technologies is being applied across industry, training, manufacturing, culture and storytelling. A massive thanks again to Janet Beck for GLASSEYE.
Thank you so much, Camille. Thank you.